definitely.
Yeah. So best in bracket. So what we're doing here is we're going through each bracket and look who finished top. The reason is, as I think I said before, is that a lot a lot of the big streamers, and we're not one of them, obviously, will talk about the top list. But we think it's kind of good to give credence to the lower list because a lot of times, a lot of people have like their first tournaments and they bring some really cool stuff, but it doesn't really play off how they expected. They want to look at that kind of stuff and celebrate those who like got their first win and stuff like that. We've got five lists. The top three, obviously, in there because they had best 4, 5, and 3. So that's kind of how that goes. So yeah, anything to add before we start?
Not much, I don't think. Basically, yeah, it was a nice general array of different lists that were in the different brackets. So it'll be a pleasant review as opposed to just rinse and repeating the same army list. So yeah, I think generally it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, excellent. Then, shall we go to the first one?
Absolutely. Here we
Place of
go.
Darkness, Rob Wales.
Rob Wales,
So,
yes.
Rob Wales. Now we talked about this list because I was back on stream at this point, and it has 4 Mutala Vortex beasts. I think when we discussed this list, Russ said the same thing. Is that we didn't expect it to be near the top tables. I am disappointed to see it this below down. So, what does this try to do? As ladies and honest, the Vortex Reject, whatever it's called, the Beast, has an ability where you can roll a dice, and depending on the result, you can affect a unit within 18 inches, ranging from -1 to bravery up to D6 mortal wounds, and if you kill something, there's a chaos spawn appears there. With this, if you put a Tzeentch priest near him, you get to roll an extra dice and pick the result you want. So essentially, if a 4 up is D3, 5 up is D6, 6 up is D6, and you turn something into a chaos spawn. So odds on you're doing some damage, and with 4 of them, you are fishing for 6s, 5s, and 6s, but you have a better chance of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I think it's one of those great on paper things. I've looked at a Vortex space and thought, what play do I have in it? But when you start weighing up kind of, you're going to need to get in combat at some point, that's when it starts to fall apart. And then suddenly your battle's not going to be won and lost on a D6, sadly. I wish it was because I would love to get a battle done on that. So that was the crux of it. I imagine it is a meme list kind of the wrong thing to say, but 4 Vortex Beasts fall into that category. You got 2 of the underworlds here. The Chorus Cabal Deep Strikers. So they're very good for chaos. For when you move up, you drop them behind to hold your back line or hold an objective or keep them thinking about what's happening behind them. Because if you've got a fast army, drop them behind, and now they've got to turn around and deal with that or not have objectives. And that can be a very good play to have. Spirit of Fang are mortal wound outputs. 3 attacks each. 3 attacks each. 6s on mortal wounds. And there's something like ridiculous, like 35 attacks in the model. So it's a mortal wound output. You're doubling it up here. So that is it's a hammer, but it's a hammer in a t-shirt. It will hit you hard, but then you'll be done with it, basically. And then through that, now the Despoilers also gives to him and the Demon Princes +2 to their wounds. So there's a lot of good stuff there. Nurgle keeps stuff alive a bit longer. The Tzeentch is there to power up, and the Vortex Beasts. And then we have the Covenant Phyrex, which gives very good endless spells. Now, one of the big endless spells is the Burning Sigil of the Tzeentch. Again, D3 mortal wounds. It seems this whole army is actually kind of based a lot on getting mortal wound output quite high. I do think a Chaos Chosen would possibly be the way of getting mortal wound output more effectively.
Yeah.
But guessing from Sharky's comment there, the Vortex were built from Tyranids from Leviathan. All right, so there we go. That's one of the things to kick off the army. really glad to hear that. Not glad I didn't see it though. I should have. I was kept up to date with it. People would come tell me about it. It's like it's over there. But if you've been to the LGT, with 8 people in a room, I see you guys all the time. And when someone said, "Have you seen Jason?" It's like I don't know. I have no idea. We're all in like a 40-meter block. It's like I don't know where anyone is. Anyway, so that's what the list is. Looks like a Kit Bash army. I shame I didn't see it on the lunchtime best army thing, but that's it. And it came out with 1 draw and then 4 losses, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but like you said, I think it's the idea that he took the list that he wanted as opposed to a power-driven list. The idea he has a demon prince in there, or on top of everything else, it's just saying that, guys, I'm here just to have a little bit of fun. Well, I assume. Sorry, he's got 2 demon princes, even more fun. I assume that was his intention.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. If it was a Kit Bash, I'll put my money down that this army looked cool. Yeah. Like I will put money down that this army looked amazing. Jason, any thoughts?
Nothing that happened there before. I am a bit annoyed I didn't actually go and see him as well, because I love the Vortex Beasts just for the craziness of them, but nothing that you haven't really honestly already said.
Yeah, so as we say, like it is what it is. Really glad that these kind of armies exist, though. I mean, there's so many good 40k models, and it'd be really great to kind of try and start getting in there. Like the Mauler Fiends look great, right? How do you make that? You have the guy who always runs the seal forward, the Forge of Souls came out. Vastik or something, like looks like a demon prince, but it's mechanical. It's like there needs to be a way of Kit Bashing that for Sigma. It's a beautiful model.
Yeah.
And I'll be looking to you, Rob, to be doing that for us, please. If it's Kit Bash a whole bunch of 40k stuff so I can look at it. Great, thank you. So any last thoughts on this before we go? One more.
Nothing off my end. No, to be honest, my knowledge on Slaves of Darkness is quite limited, so it's actually quite interesting hearing your input into all of that. Vashdor, there you go. That's what Gilly said. Vashdor.
There you go. Thank you. Our research team there.
I briefly saw on the board, and then when I was doing like the painting competition, looking around it all and everything, it looked impressive. But it was definitely a list that I assume he wanted to bring, as opposed to I'm looking to win with this.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So the best with 1 win, we are talking about Adam Richardson.
Yeah.
Slaves to Darkness. Again, this is more of a classic Slaves to Darkness. We have a Mutilev Vortex Beast. So if you're ever shopping for Mutilev Vortex Beast, I want to know where the only 5 they made in the UK went. They were in London this weekend. Well, I guess only 1 because I was Kit Bash. But yes, another video. I'm so glad it's the last I've got to say this word. Another Mutilev Vortex Beast. Then what we have is a Nurgle build. Now, if you don't know, Nurgle means you're -1 to hit in melee. If you have the banner, which is the eroding icon, is -1 rend. So they are sticking around. It's very hard to kill these things. They're all on 3-up saves. So this is closer to what you'd expect, I imagine, from most Slaves of Darkness builds that don't lean heavily into Vanguard. Nurgle Chaos Warriors are pretty standard because they're 2 wounds each, 3-up, get them to a 2-up quite easily. Oracular Visions gives them a 6-up ward, -1 to wound, giving the banner -1 to rend. Kind of a big block of Chaos Warriors to hold the center point of it. Be'lakor makes an appearance here as well to turn off people. And then we have Zinch Lords, can do a little bit of teleporting, buff up the Mutilev Vortex Beast. The difficulty here, well, I guess, well, so you've got it's a very defensive list. Very, very defensive. You're putting Nurgle on everything and no Khorne, no Slaanesh. It's like you're hunkering down. And I'm not, for my money, I'm not sure if I would hunker down Nurgle on Chosen, where Khorne can turn them into absolute blenders. Like your mortal wounds on 6 with extra attack, you're charging. If you charge an extra attack, the banner is what it is. It's good, but compared to the rest,
there are other options, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, like the blasphemous icon is good. It -1 from casting rolls to the priests, but the alternative of it is for undivided. Sorry, they're not undivided, so you have no choice on that one. Then you got Oggroy Therodon, who's on a 5-up save. And I'm not sure if there's a point in giving them Nurgle as opposed to giving them something that goes and kills. Like I have played Slaves of Darkness, I've used Oggroys, and they are chosen. They are high rend, high damage, run them in. Don't worry about keeping them alive. Accentuate the positives. Make them more deadly. Like my defense is I've killed you before you looked at me. And that kind of play. So it is a very, very defensive build. And when I saw him in person, I was like, I'm not sure here. Because I think when we talk about Slaves of Darkness having a 47% win rate, I do think it's mostly Warriors and Chosen, no Knights, no Vanguard, no speed in there. So yeah, so that's my thoughts. And I started to be down on the list. It's no fun. But having played Slaves and tried this kind of stuff, it's like reinforce. Oh, sorry, you have got Knights in there, but again with Nurgle as opposed to Khorne, give him the banner. Chaos Knights reinforced with Khorne are probably the best unit in the book. There's so much damage output there. There's so much speed in there, and all that good stuff. But enough of me harping on about it. How about for you lot two? for you two?
Yeah, the one thing I would say, just to viewers watching this, is the Gryff Feather Charm. That he wasn't running that, by the way. This is just because it was an older slide. But to be honest, it's like you were saying before. In this instance, in this case, with the Warriors, the Knights, and the Chosen, it's curious to see that he was playing a more castling up almost mentality, or just trying to keep those models alive. Perhaps he was almost concerned about their longevity on the field, considering you're talking 5, 10, 5. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think with the Therodons is also that worry that will they survive long enough to get into combat? I know myself, whenever I'm looking at an army or looking at units, particularly the weaker ones, I try to accentuate their longevity over their potentially to do more damage, particularly if they're already kicking out a sensible amount. But I totally understand what you're saying with like the Khorne option, perhaps getting you in there just to do more, and you go from like concern to glass cannon mentality. They all go and do something if they are played with and controlled in the right manner. But this is like you said, Be'lakor out there on the battlefield as well, doing what he does best. Whether or not he's worth the 340 points at the moment, I don't know personally. That's a lot of points for one of his abilities, once per battle abilities. Okay, he's still a big model on the board. It almost becomes a distraction kind effect sort of mentality after he's done his thing. It's got all the right things there. It may have also been down to his opponents. And that's the one thing about all of this, is that you could have a fantastic time if you're piled up against the right opponents. If you're unfortunately Jason, you get matched up with 3 Seraphon, you're not going to have such a successful time. It's just one of those chances things. And so Adam could have potentially done better. But it could be a number of different factors. From the army list perspective, I think it's sensible enough. But I can totally respect what you're saying about perhaps not going full Nurgle on all the chaos marks.
Yeah. Jason, sorry.
I was going to say, this reminds me of an old school OBR style build. Get your Knights or whatever, your Warriors in there, buff them up, just make sure they don't die. Just literally grind out. Let them come to you and just grind it out. Bit of speed with the Knights. Chaos Chosen. I've fallen foul of them before, so a buffed up unit of Chaos Chosen. But yeah, just basically do that. I mean, it's not how I've seen Slaves of Darkness before. Not to say it's not a usable list. It's not how I've seen them before. When I've seen them before, they are fast. They attack hard. and they generally dictate the battle, sort of thing. Whereas this one, they're giving that up to be that bit more survivable. Survivable.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is a genuine way of playing Slaves of Darkness, but you normally see a lot more Chaos Warriors because they stick around a little bit longer than definitely Feridons and Chosen. You raise a really good point with Be'lakor there, Paul, in that it is a wasted. You're paying a lot for one ability. Be'lakor's value, I think, is on counterplays. So if you've got a slow army, right? So let me start again. Benjamin Hall is one of our guys who plays, and Phil Marshall does used to say the same with double Vanguard. But he runs into you, starts killing you, and you have to deal with that straight away. And as soon as you decide, right now I counter move, Be'lakor goes, no, you don't get your key unit. And you essentially have a turn to make a decision because it is happening. Vanguard are here. How am I going to deal with this? Be'lakor dictates it. If you have a slower moving army with Be'lakor, the opposing player has more time to think to themselves, don't put myself in a position where I rely on one thing. Make sure I'm spread, that I have two means of solving this problem. And there's more time. Be'lakor is great in a crunch. Like I've been in a situation where I've had to face Be'lakor. I've dealt with two Vanguards coming in. He's wrecked everything. I've gone for my counterplay, and Be'lakor's gone, no, you can't have him. And it's like, well, I've got nothing else. I've got another choice I can make. So I just got to bully my way through this. And you lose priority, it's gone again. So that's what I think is kind of maybe a factor here is that if I'm playing this list, I'm always waiting for Be'lakor. And because I'm waiting for Be'lakor, I'm just going to make sure that I've got two things so I can only stop one of them. But, that's my thoughts on it. Like, on that stuff. Adam is your list. But that's advice I'd give when it comes to Be'lakor and slower lists. You've got to reduce the decision-making time down for him so people have no choice but to be impacted by him.
Yeah. Cool.
Excellent.
Next list.
So, best with 3 wins. And there's a good question here is, are the Kruleboyz underdogs anymore? Because they had the underdog prize this year. They are doing pretty well. New tactics. There's some really good stuff. Sneaky Hex removes wards. Shaman giving poison to Bolt Boys. I still hate the Killer Bow, but everything else is really good. Cool. That's a really cool callback to one of Realms of Vanguard or War Clans box. Well, I spent too long slagging off and I'm going to get into it again. So I'm going to stop. So this is essentially quite similar to the Kruleboyz armies you'll see. So Snatcher Bosk is F1 +1 damage on 6s. So now Bolt Boys are getting you 3 mortals on a 6, 2 mortals on a 5. You're rolling to spike those 6s. That's what a Kruleboyz army is. Very achievable tactics. Gosbrak, he unbinds you on a 10+, D6 mortal wounds for your wizard. Not many small wizards have 7+ wounds, so that's a risky play to start making there. Shaman Pot Grots, of course, are handing out the poison in the first place. So I think Kruleboyz in a very good place. I don't expect them to be 5-0 in tournaments anytime soon, but compared to the place they were, and considering we have seen the IDK have a revolution since the Sharks got buffed and are now very, very good. We are seeing the Kruleboyz jump up the ranks, and there's not been a big change to their lists. Like it's the same. Well, okay, yeah, you have 8 models, so what can you really do? But we're not seeing like blocks of gut. We're not seeing Kragnos appear. We're seeing people who are very, very good with this list now be given battle tactics and grand strategies they can achieve. Take that, suckers. Get near territory and a grand strategy in and out. I know it's a call. I can't remember what it does. So yeah, so for you two, are we at the point where Kruleboyz are no longer underdogs?
Do you want to go first, Jason, or shall I?
I can if you want.
Go for it.
I think, me personally, I think we're on the verge. I think they are getting to that stage of not being the underdogs. I don't think they're quite there yet because don't get me wrong, you have got successful lists, but you've also got lists that literally do not do anything as well. But I think they're going out of underdogs probably, but still on the lower end of normal, if you know what I mean. So just slightly out. But you've seen some armies that you said if they spike, they can destroy anything.
But I don't always spike, which is because that's what spiking is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're broken.
Yeah.
Paul.
So yeah, I'm going to build on what you just said there, Jason, a little bit. I'll go a little bit further forward. Yeah, like Sharky just said here, this list felt powerful. I think it could go 4-1 and hands of a good player, and that's what I was going to say. I think that ultimately Kruleboyz are one of those high skill ceiling armies where you like playing orcs, great. Iron Jaws aren't so hard to do, and you just go and smash in. Kruleboyz takes a little bit more thinking and methodology around it all. And ultimately, like you said, Jason, this army can easily fall apart very quickly if it's in the wrong hands. But you get in the right hands with someone who's had a lot of experience with Kruleboyz or perhaps just orcs in general and the mentality of playing that army. And I think this could just can go off in different directions. They no longer need Kragnos, as you just said, Michael. They can do what they want to do, and with the battle tactics and the grand strategy that's been given to them, making it incredibly easy for them to score those points outside of the actual fighting. I think this has potential. I'm surprised he put Farston on the Snatcher boss instead of Gobsprakk. I've never actually played Kruleboyz, but I've played against them, and in both instances where the Gobsprakk was around, Farston was on Gobsprakk, and he was just going back and forth through his behind his lines, and was just doing what he wanted to do with them. But yeah, I agree with what Sharky said. I think a list like this could potentially do really well. And I think you're right. I was very surprised that Kruleboyz was still classed as an underdog army, especially as UKTC had the opportunity to see the update in the rules. But yeah, it goes to show that either you win or you don't with this army. It's not kind of like a middle ground almost.
Yeah, absolutely. We know Kieran, who's one of our guys, last year was ranked
number
on
one.
the top table. Sorry, as number one is a Kruleboyz player, so there's no tables on this Wargamer. So, and Chris Sharky, when you brought up as well, is like, why would you put Farston on the Sludge Raker beast? Now, I agree that I would not put it on the Sludge Raker simply because you need him to buff up your Boltboyz. However, there is a play. I see Kieran use this one, so I'm giving away your tactics, Kieran. Sorry. Using Farston. No, so I'm thinking of Super Sneaky. Because Super Sneaky, you can force people to take the first turn by just dumping something right in front of them. They got a choice there. Farston could be good for grabbing intimidating invaders, moving them out the way of stuff. But yeah, sorry, now I'm correcting myself. And yeah, Gobsprakk jumping forward, doing a bunch of stuff, then jumping back is much more effective than having a Sludge Raker who you want to buy your Boltboyz until it's time to unleash him, maybe to turn 4, turn 5, where it's like, right, now stuff needs to die.
Yeah.
Now stuff needs to get into melee. So yeah, interesting choice. I'd like to know the reasons behind that. But yeah, and as for the hands of the player, 3-2 with Kruleboyz, or top of the 3 wins, it's nothing to sniff at.
No,
it's a good result, a very good result. Considering a lot of people know how this army plays, like they've been around. We know that you want to stay out of range, so well done, Jack. As far as I'm concerned,
yeah, absolutely.
I look forward to telling everyone that you're the best Kruleboyz player, so I can have fun taking the mick out of Kieran.
Yeah, he's going to point out to Kieran.
That's the kind of friend I am. Oh, Sharky, was this your list?
Oh, Sharky's. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, we'll probably use Smellion next time to try and make him more tanky. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's gobsmacked scary at the moment in the meta with the GHB. Many people become become crippled by his ability to not only dispel but also kind of wound at the same time. I've had a gobsmack destroy my little goblin shamans when he's done it, and he rolled a temple up. It's just they just explode. But you went 3-2. And that's nothing to sniff about, particularly with Core Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and you say in the hands of a good player, it's in the hands of a good player. It's nothing
Yeah.
to sniff at all. So yeah, no, well done, man. That's a great result.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's the Fasten, which as you're saying as well, is that the best place for it? But yeah, look forward to seeing you get those getting you.
Getting further up on the boards.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're moving into top three. So these are the players who came top three. That's my introduction to that section.
Well done, Michael. Well done, sir.
Thank you. The first one I can speak to, because I played Brent before, I caught up with him at a tournament. Absolutely sound guy. One of my favourite people to play. And he's a really nice guy, frankly, and that's what we should all be trying to be at these tournaments. This is a KO list, but more importantly, this is a Gotrek list. And it is a great Gotrek list. Obviously, he finished top three. Gotrek is a problem.
I love him. I love him.
He is, when you see that 32-inch model 32mm model get put down, it's like, good. Great. Now I've got to deal with this nonsense. So yes. Oh, okay. Maybe there's a mistake in.
Let me have a quick look. Oh, quick look.
Yeah.
So I got the results up there.
I'm working on it.
But just had a
Brent
quick look
Evans
now.
had 4 wins and 1 draw, and he was 3rd overall.
I think he's talking about Cool Boys.
Oh, the Cool Boys.
Yeah, maybe there was a higher ranked.
Okay, I'll certainly have a look. But carry on, Michael. In the meantime.
Okay, yeah. So for this, it is Cool Boys are Cool Boys. KO are a shooting army, and supported by Gotrek. So in this case, the idea is you just launch Gotrek into it, so people got to deal with it. He's hard to deal with. Whilst your boats go around, there's only one boat goes around and shoots stuff and drops stuff onto objectives. It's a very, very strong army. KO in the right hands are in a really, really good place. Gotrek solves a problem of holding objectives. Best 3 wins was Craig Namvar's Big War. Okay, so I still have all the slides open, so I can bring that one across, and we can
go over that one. Yeah, I can see what happened because basically Craig Namvar had 3 wins, 1 draw, and a loss. So that's how he's gone top of the 3 wins.
Okay, well, while I get that sorted out, do you want to tell us about Gotrek, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure many people are aware of what he's like and everything, but Gotrek, the great thing about him is he's essentially a one-man army. He may be slow, he can't take any benefit from the actual ships or the aircrafts in this army, but he doesn't really need to. You just put him on an edge and then he looks after that half of the battlefield or the third of the battlefield. It comes into him the idea of his ability just to take damage 1 throughout, and then he's got 3-up ward save on all those damage 1 attacks. In addition, when he then gets into combat, he's just a monster when fighting monsters, or elite units for that matter. The idea that when he rolls his dice, he gets to re-roll all of hits and wounds, and then any 6s to hit do d6 mortal wounds in addition to everything else. And -2 rend as standard, and I believe it's 3 damage on his axe. I think he starts off with 6 attacks. It doesn't sound bad until you realise he gets to strike again in combat phase, and it's a scary model. It takes a lot to put him down. It's easy to say, as Jason and I, when we talked about it before, all you do is you put lots of spammy dice attacks into him, or lots of damage 1s, and then he'll eventually go down due to weight of dice. It's one thing saying it, it's another thing actually doing it. And if you are taking an elite army, like I've played Gotrek into a number of Nurgle lists, and he's just come out laughing, bloodied, but laughing nonetheless, as they just get chopped to pieces. So it's one of those things that putting him into a KO force is just nasty. I mean, that is just like, let's have the best of both worlds. Let's have lots of lovely shooting and also a madman with an axe. Yeah, that's him in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great. He fills up so many of the gaps in the KO that James Linford has started taking a similar list, and I really thanks, Graham. Thanks for introducing the world to KO and Gotrek. Jason, what are your thoughts?
Gotrek, I've tried to kill him so many times. I think I've only actually taken him off the board possibly once ever. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's just in this list, especially. It's
wrong.
just scary. Well done on him for doing it, but just wow.
I love it. I think it's a great. I don't mind jank like this. I mean, like it does help that when you play, but you don't feel like you're playing a Gotrek KO player. You feel like it's a nice game. I killed Gotrek in Brent's list after on the fence, because I threw in Plague Sensor Bearers, so I had 80 attacks, and it's just weight of dice just to get rid of him. But that's a big commitment to make for most people to kind of get rid of that. Yeah, there are armies that have anti-ward tech. So Khorne's got anti-ward, which is great. Sigvold with Slaanesh. Cool Boys have an anti-ward mechanic.
Lumineth shooters are the not Dawnbringers, the Wind Chargers, I think it is. They have the ignore wards, which scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. So to the point is your time is up, Gotrek. We're coming for you. Well, 3 armies are out of the 28,000 or 26. Yeah, 3 out of 26. That's pretty good odds. I'll take that. But yeah, as I say, good player, great list, done very, very well. Gotrek is very, very well positioned in here compared to other armies where he's not so much filling a gap, but he is kind of accentuating his strength. Like Stormcast already have good fighting guys, and here's Gotrek, he's doing more fighting. And although I am constantly saying accentuate the positives, this fills a gap so well with KO, with holding objectives and being fighty and putting people away. It's great. I really, really like this list. I hate playing it. I'm so much about it. So, shall we take a step back in time to go see the best 30 wins?
Oh, no, that's all, mate. I wish we were going, sir.
I've entered it, maybe recover. I've added it in on slide 10.
You may need to restart.
Hang on, guys. Bear with us here. Jack number, there we go. You didn't see any of that. It's all a case of magic. Craig number.
That's the one. Big War. You played this list, Paul?
No, I didn't play this one. I was lucky not to play this one because having a look at it, 2 units of 6 Gore Grunters, that's scary. I played against 2 units of 3 Gore Grunters, and this list looks scary. Having experienced a similar list, just not as bad.
I don't know a lot about Big War. I know they get a hell of a lot of strong once they go on and they build up their war points. To running, charging, rend, and all that crazy stuff. I haven't seen the brutes in combat since their new war scrolls.
Yeah, like the brutes, I played up against them. Like I said, I play a very similar list myself, minus what you can see there was 6 Gore Grunters. The brutes are worthwhile. Okay, you ain't getting them in units of 5 and everything, but the idea that they're 3 wounds apiece and they have X number of attacks, and like you said, the war points can get easily piled up very quickly. The opponent who I played with, by the end of battle round 5, he had 35 war points or something very close to that. And the brutes, when they're all buffed up, a little bit like the Slaanesh now, when they get their kind of this slow buffs and whatnot, when they get the fully buffed up, they can cleave through a lot of things. And even then, you're still talking like 15 wounds in that unit. It's a chunky unit. And we're not talking pathetic attacks either. They have the ability to hit hard when they want to. We all know about the Maw Crusher, the Wyrn of Shaman. I'm surprised there's a Wyrn of Shaman and not a Wargog Prophet. Perhaps that's down to points limitations more than anything. But the War Chancer is a de facto for wild armies. Gobsprakk in there is a great addition considering it's this kind of GHB at the moment. And then the 2 units of 6 Gore Grunters. Well, we've all had experience against them, either being through the Rusty Nukes with James Elson or Kieran. Oh, no, Kieran's not played Gore Grunters, but James Elson has. And they just slam hard. How about Maw Crusher running in, have the Gore Grunters on the other side of the battlefield slamming in, and you're tabling your opponent quite comfortably if your dice go the right way. Yeah, that's not to be sniffed at. I can see why this went so well as it did.
So how about yourself, Jason? Your thoughts?
Not really much more to say once again, but those Gore Grunters, that size of unit is scary on the battlefield. The amount of force they can push.
Yeah.
I think you'd be hard
And with the
pushed to
cohesion
actually
rules
hold
now as
that
well.
back. Oh yeah, the new cohesion. I mean, what, 1 within 1 inch now, up to 6 models. So you can literally have them lined out really nicely.
Yeah.
Um,
And I expect we'll see them more with Big Pigs coming out. I expect people will experiment with Big Pigs and Gore Grunter pure lists.
Oh god,
yeah, I'm waiting for it.
that's a peek into the terrifying future.
Yeah, it's a scary thought because I expect you'll probably see 2 or 3 Big Pigs, and when they're about the same sort of points as 6 Gore Grunters, and that's 900 points, and then let's have another 18 Gore Grunters, and I've probably got another 100 points left for something else. Yeah, that's scary.
A wizard to give them Mystic Shield or all out attack, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. A Goblin Wizard as an ally for 70 points.
Those are my favorite lists, where you see like a list of really hard hitters, and then there's like a 70-point Black Fleet Master who's there to cast Mystic Shield. It's like getting tired of recruitment agency. We've got a job for you, but you're not gonna like it.
Definitely not.
Yeah. As I say, I've played Big War a couple of times. It's a great faction. Gobsprakk is, again, as you say, he's showing his colours now. He's really he's had maybe the biggest glow up for a model since a new GHB. Considering he's always been a good to take with the core boys, but now he's got play throughout destruction.
Yeah.
Or at least orcs. So no, really like that one. What is it that the Wyrn of Shaman does? That's not the lasers.
No, he's not. No, I assume it's been purely down to points. They couldn't afford the Wargog products. I think the Wargogs are 110, 120. And as he's 2k on the nose, I expect that's probably the reason why he was forced to take a Wyrn of over the other options.
Okay. All right. So any last thoughts before we get back to our regularly scheduled programming?
Nothing for me. I really struggle with Big One in the first place. So this sort of list, I can understand why it does it well.
Excellent. All right. So second place, we are coming to Soulblight. More importantly, we're coming to.
No, Michael Tully went first, didn't he? Oh no, Phil Marshall did. So I'll be quiet. Sorry, Michael. I'll be quiet.
Yeah. So it is 140 zombies.
Wrong.
Yeah. Like, come on. First of all, as a man who's painted 80 clan rats, fair play. Fair play on campaigning 140 zombies. But also, thanks for bringing 140 zombies.
It's 120 zombies. Got to give the man the benefit of that. 120 zombies and 20 skeletons.
Yes. Oh my god. Why? Yeah, I think it's Jason. You were telling me about the zombies earlier. Do you want to run us through the zombie stats?
Everyone knows about them at the minute, but you kill a zombie, it does a mortal wound back to you pretty much on its death. If you imagine 60 zombies, so even if you kill them, it could be up to 60 mortal wounds back, and Gorslav brings that unit back at half strength. So then you get 30 zombies back in the fight, back into it, and doing, when they die, possibly doing another 30 mortals back to you. Yeah, it's as simple as that. The zombies are, even with a new point increase, it's insane what you can actually get with them.
Yeah.
Just
We-
that's the main thing.
Bella Volga buffs the dogs. This is Vicross. Yeah. So yeah, there's benefits for the dog. Basically, forego all your heroes and take all the little guys, and it works wonders because you've just come second at an LGT. Paul, any rated PG comments on a list of 120 zombies?
There's two armies I've been very lucky not to fight so far. That's Seraph 1 and SPGL. And I love to keep that going, touch wood. Don't you dare say anything, Jason, to certain TOs and everything. But yeah, the idea, like the 60 zombies, that's on a 5 up for the mortals. That's 20 mortal wounds coming out there if you clear them. And his grand strategy, he wants them to die because he has to bring back at least 3 summonable units. So he's not going to hold back and just sit them on an objective. Now he's going to go through and want you to kill them. So he can achieve his grand strat on that one. Like Jason said, they Gorslav, bring them back. Direwolves or Belladama really supports that one. Necromancer, well, 2 Necromancers are kind of almost an ad hoc take for such an army. It does what it's meant to. I personally think that zombies are undercosted or they need just a minor rewrite on the rule. We said it before in the list reviews, a chaff unit should not be expending out that many mortal wounds. I know it's on a 5 up and it doesn't have to be, but when you can take on units of 60, that's when it gets wrong. So they either need to go up in points even more. Okay, 90 points was added onto the unit of 60, it still needs to go up higher. Or slight adjustment on levels, so perhaps it's like every 5 zombies that dies, you roll a dice and on a 2 up you do a mortal wound back. Something like that, you know. It only needs like a slight tweak and then it'll be absolutely fine, but at the moment they're not pleasant.
No, I saw someone throw in brutes into, I think, reinforcing brutes into zombies. Didn't kill the zombies, did kill the brutes. It was just like, oh, wow, that's the first time I see them in action.
Exactly.
But as I say, it's a big gamble. I mean, you come across a Thankwolf, it's game over for you. But yeah, I think it's really says that the mortal wound mechanic itself, is that really required for something? I mean,
no,
watching
if they took that mortal wound mechanic off, then drop their points again by the 30, perhaps even by 45 points for the unit and everything, because it's just going to be like this clan rats, bodies. And that's exactly what zombies are meant to be, bodies. I know they're probably going for that whole Walking Dead mentality of, getting swarmed and, overpowering on that sort of side of things. But yeah, I agree. What Gitley said.
But let's be fair. It's like we see the swarming zombies, but they're not exactly got much martial prowess. They get you by just swarming you. It's not like, that one's got a knife. So they don't need a mortal wound thing. They're all good. So no, I'd agree. I think the mortal wound mechanic is difficult, and I think let's be honest here. Like, winning an LGT requires skill. There's no doubt about it. You need that placement, and you've come second. So clearly, you know what you're doing. This just take us to some salty middle ground players. Let's see how I secretly promoted us. Got people who are live in the middle ground, the middle tables.
We can point and laugh as Michael was doing that to other opponents, just hoping that we never fight him on the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. You stay up there, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are good on the top tables. All right. And for the final list of the best in bracket, we have quite a known name. Our Phil Marshall.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to get to this list or?
Yes, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can see, he ran Jaws and Mork, and he did it pure and simple with this one. Taking a couple of Shamans and a Scragwat just for the whole meta, just keeping in with the GHB mentality. But Squig Boss on the net with the Nasher Squig, buffing up that Squig herd. He's got 15 Boingo Bounders, 5/5, and then he's got Sneaky Snufflers. So what he's doing here is he will be using the Sneaky Snufflers potentially on the Boingo Bounders on turn 1, on the 15 of them, rolling the dice, and likelihood is he'll be giving them at least a 5-up ward, if not +1 attacks if he rolled lucky. They then go bounding in, and the one thing to remember is whilst they're hitting on with their lances 4s, 3s, -1 for 1 on the charge, that goes to -2 rend at 2 damage each. Now throw in the idea of the Moonface Mommet. If you manage to somehow get the Madcap Shaman within the range, a 12-inch range, that's -3 rend. It will start building up very quickly. And then 2 units of 5 Boingo Bounders. Yeah, also on top of the lances, you've got the squigs underneath them. So 15 squigs, if you were able to get them all in. So on 32 mil basis, it's a little bit difficult. But if you were able to get them all in, that's 45 attacks. 45 attacks with the gobs. Sneaky Snufflers, though, doing exactly what I just said. They would then probably go and follow on the Squig herd, giving them a 5-up ward and then potentially more attacks. Then the Squig boss will give his buffs off with the different mushrooms they can give them, which could potentially give them an extra rend, extra attack, or 6s doing mortal wounds. So that's all pretty ferocious. And 36 Squig herd is 72 wounds, with the potential of when they flee doing mortal wounds back at you. And then you've got Gobblepalooza with Squiggalore, and Squiggalore actually allows a unit, a chosen Squig unit, to re-roll their charges. So, you know, you can see why Phil did so well with this one. Having discovered Boingrots myself for the second time in my life, with a new book in this occasion, I understand why he did so well. I run 10, and I was amazed by what the potential of what they can do. And in the hands of a marshal, army marshal like Phil, you're going for glory. You really are.
Yeah, I saw him comment on Twitter being, he plays Slaves of Darkness in 2.0. Well, in the 2.0 book, I was just clarifying. And he said he'd been looking for an army that felt as he enjoys to play, and this, he says, is exactly how he enjoys to play.
Did you see his notes? Did you see his cheat sheet?
Yeah, charge.
It was charge. If you're still alive, charge again.
But yeah, like, let's say along the way, Phil has proven time and time again he is a world-class player anyway. And half the game is this building. And this is it. Jason, your thoughts?
Boingrots in the old book, I don't want to be horrible, but I was pretty much laughing at them in the old book. When Paul sent them up against my army. In the new book, they are really, really interesting. Groups of 5 I found a bit flimsy. I will admit that.
Agreed.
A group of 10, 15, they're horrible. They have enough wounds in there to just hang around, and like Gittle was saying, if you Hoarfrost them, give them 3 rend, you know, on various rolls, the wording of the rule of extra rend, extra damage adds on to that. So they can actually go up to 4 rend with Hoarfrost.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. That would put my Immortus Guard to shame.
Yeah.
And just, it's just, I love them, also I hate them, just because of that.
Well, going on the back of that, Jason, what you were just saying there, you can go even further. Like, I was comfortably getting -4 rend in my matches, thanks to a combination of other things. And in this one, he also has a Moonface Mommet. You can get those Boingo Bounders up to -5 rend. You know, that's crazy. That is thoroughly crazy.
What does a Clammy Hand do?
Sorry?
What does a Clammy Hand do?
The Clammy Hand allows him to... Oh, it's -1 to hit. Oh, no, it's not. No, I'll double check. I see it's -1 to hit him. That's the artifact. Clammy Hand allows him to re-roll on the Moon Clan layer when he's bringing things back in. I will double check that. I'm pretty confident.
Right. I'm just checking it now. Yeah, you can use your return ability twice.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. Use it twice.
But this is, I think, a perfect example of build on the strong parts of your list. He's gone double down on rend, charging, and bring his stuff back. I mean, there's a lot of other play in that Gits book, but this is Clammy Hand is uncomfortable handshakes. Christ, that's a better go home line than I've got for this list. Cheers, man. But yeah, doubling down on what's good. Like we spoke about this in another video. It's like you pick the thing that's good in your book and you build on that. And that's exactly what's been done here to great effect. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, so that is the best in bracket for the and a bonus list because because Michael can't count.
Clearly, it's because Sharky was here. You know, he was here. We knew that. I totally knew that. We throw it in there just for him.
Yeah, that's just for you, Sharky. That's just for you, buddy.
Absolutely.